Hello, I'm Lynn Dipple, author of Trilingual by Six. Today I want to help you find some native speakers of your target languages so that your children can grow up multilingual. Before I begin, I need to forewarn you of something. If you have no interest in raising trilingual children, this might be the most boring video you've ever watched. But on the other hand, if you want to have multilingual children, I'm going to open some exciting doors for you. You need to understand in that vein that as far as I'm concerned, the key to successfully raising multilingual children lies in finding resources in ordinary everyday places, not exotic ones. In the text of the book that brought you here, I was taking you to Corpus Christi, Texas, not because there's anything special about Corpus Christi, Texas, quite the contrary, just taking you there simply because it's an ordinary mid-sized city in the Sun Belt of the United States where if we can find the resources to raise multilingual children, we can probably do it just about anywhere. And that is the point. So now that we're in Corpus Christi, Texas, let's ask ourselves, what are the chances of finding a given language for our child to learn? We were talking a little bit about Vietnamese as a possibility in Corpus Christi, so let's investigate that a little bit further. Later on in the book, I will take you, or at least make mention of this page, a page published by the Modern Language Association, and it allows you to gather demographic data on which languages are being spoken in any given community in the United States. So let's try Corpus Christi. Down in the lower left, we see it prompts us for city or town. Let's type in Corpus Christi. And we see it takes us to this page. It shows us that there are approximately 150,000 English speakers in Corpus Christi. All other languages combined, almost as much, 104,000. Let's get a little bit more data here. If we click right in this area, it will show us the non-native English speakers' ability to speak English, giving us a little bit more information. We see that of all the languages being spoken in Corpus Christi, some 11,000 of them do not speak English well, if at all. Also note here in the upper left, where you see my cursor, that this is data from the year 2000. That's now 15 plus years old, so things might have changed. You have to keep that in mind, but there's still useful information to be gleaned here. In a place like Corpus Christi, Texas, a Sun Belt city very close to the border with Mexico, there are over 100,000 speakers of Spanish, and well over 11,000 of them do not speak English well, or do not speak it at all, maybe. Coming down further, we see that the Philippine language, Tagalog, has a very good representation in Corpus Christi. German appears to have some sort of representation, as does French. Next, we come to Vietnamese, where we see there are approximately 280 speakers of Vietnamese, and approximately 80 of those do not speak English well, if at all. Going down further, we see Chinese, Czech, Korean, and many other languages. So now, let's see if we can find some of these people. I'm going to take you to just a Google search engine, a standard internet search engine. And you see I've already entered the term that we want to search, Vietnamese market, Corpus Christi, Texas. Recall, as we had discussed in the text of the book, that finding a grocery market catering to an ethnic population is a very good way of finding an enclave of those speakers of that language. So let's go to this page and see what we find. Here we see the featured hit is a place called Asian Market, and it has good Google reviews. And if we look to the left here a little bit more, we see it's also getting some decent Yelp reviews, as as evidenced by these stars. We could check out the reviews and see if it looks to be a good place, see if we might like to go there. Let's try a few others. Why don't we try not Vietnamese, but Asian? And that gives us much the same results. Let's try another one, maybe Chinese. Also, very similar results. So let's go back to where we started at Vietnamese markets. In addition to this featured one that we see on the right, if we scroll down, we find a place called Saigon Asian Market. And that might be a very good place to find a more clearly Vietnamese market. Here's the address of the place. We could go there on a map if we wanted to and have a look around. We won't do that for this particular one, but we will do it for some others today. Now, returning to this featured hit when we search Vietnamese markets, this place called Asian Market. Looking down, however, in the right, we see some other possibilities for us. There's a place called La Michoacana Meat Market, which sounds very suspiciously like a Hispanic market that's catering to the local Spanish-speaking population, most likely, given that we're in Corpus Christi, people from Mexico. And next to that, Middle East market. So maybe here's a Middle East market catering perhaps to people who speak Arabic. Tough to know. We will go there in a minute and have a closer look. But right now, let's investigate this La Michoacana market. Here we go. Here's another hit for it. We see more information that looks like it's probably published by the grocery itself, and it does appear that they have chains in a lot of bigger cities around the area of Corpus Christi. But here we see La Michoacana Market, and here's a little map. Here's the address of the place that we could, investigate in person if we chose to do so. We also look down here in the right, and we see that it looks like there are probably some other Hispanic markets in Corpus Christi. Given the large Hispanic population, I guess that probably should not surprise us. But now let's click on this map and see what that tells us, see where that takes us. Okay, here is the market with a little red pin showing its location on a map. Now here's a little thing called Street View, a little picture here of the market. Why don't we click on that and see what that does for us? You see it takes us down to street level and allows us to see the market as well as the surrounding environment. If we kind of put our cursor over the sign of the market and scroll forward, it will zoom in for us and let us have a little bit closer look. Now let's scroll back out. Let's go over to this big sign and see what we see here. See if there's any useful information there. There's the ad for the market itself. But notice in the same shopping center as the market, there is a check cashing center where an immigrant might go to cash a paycheck and perhaps to remit some of the money back home. In this particular neighborhood, most likely back home to Mexico. Also note that there are no fewer than 3 income tax preparation companies here. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think there's a very good reason for that. And as we discuss in the book, a lot of immigrants pay their taxes and keep the government in the country where they happen to be working solvent. Let's back out a little bit and see if we can learn a little bit more. Now, just by dragging our mouse around, we can sort of get a 360-degree view of the whole neighborhood. And you see it looks to be a fairly nondescript place, probably in a little suburb of some type. Here, if we look at the sign and scroll in on it, we see a prepaid phone center of the type that might be of interest to an immigrant needing telephone service. Now, let's walk down the street just a little bit. You see, if I move my cursor this way, there's a little arrow I can click on that will take me that far down the street. Sort of like walking, almost as good as being there. Let's take a little walk and see what else we might find in this same little shopping center. Some shrubs that looks like they could use some water. But if we look over to the right, in the same shopping center, we see a place that looks like it's called Tip Top Nails. Let's see if we can zoom in there and have a little bit better look. Yeah, Tip Top Nails. A nail salon of this type in the Sun Belt of the United States might harbor some Vietnamese entrepreneurs, perhaps some Vietnamese workers in this place. Let's see if we can find out anything more about this particular place. Remembering that we are in Corpus Christi, Texas, let's go to just a Google search engine and search it and see if we can get some reviews on the place. Okay, Tip Top Nails, scrolling down through our results. Here's the Yelp.com page, which might give us some reviews on the place. Let's go there and see what we can find out. No, it doesn't have any reviews. That could mean that it's new. That could mean a lot of things. But it doesn't really tell us whether or not we would feel safe in going there or not. Maybe we would, maybe we wouldn't. But we might want to get some more information before we went to a place like this. So let's go back to where we were. Now here we're in front of the nail salon, which is near the Hispanic market. Come down to the lower left and click on Back to Map. And that takes us back to the map where we were. So let's see if we can go backwards and get back to the search results of the Vietnamese market search that we did earlier. Here we are, Asian market. Now we also noted of interest this place called the Middle East Market in Delhi. Let's check that a little bit and see if we can find the location of that. Yes, here we go, 5405 Everhart Road. If we click on the map, we can find where that would be. Okay, right there. So let's go back to where we were again. And now let's investigate this Asian market a little bit more, but this time let's do it in a slightly different way. Here we have the address of the market. So let's highlight that information, copy it, and then we'll take it to a map program on our own. So let's go to Google. Here we will type in Google Maps. My personal favorite. You can use any one you want. And here we are, Google Maps. I'll scroll out so you get some perspective on where we are. There's the United States map. So the address of the Asian market that we just highlighted and copied, we're going to paste into this little search box. And it takes us there. Here's the place as marked by the red pen. This time, rather than clicking on the photo of the place that's provided for us, we're going to get this little yellow man type figure from the lower right in our screen and drag it directly in front of the market. Then we'll just drop it down and it will take us there. There we go. Asian market. Note that next to it is a Chinese restaurant. If we pan over this way a little bit, there's another restaurant, a Mexican restaurant. That might be a good place to find native speakers of Spanish. Most likely, as we've mentioned in the text of the book, if you went into this market or any of the other markets that we found, you would find a bulletin board for the posting of various notices. In this particular Asian market, you would probably have to post it in Chinese or Vietnamese, maybe Korean, rather than in English if you wanted to get any responses. But that might be a good resource for you at some point in the future. Now from here, just for the purposes of seeing what we can learn, we're going to walk around to Everhart Road where we saw the Middle Eastern market. So we need to come around this direction. It's this way, maybe a mile or so. And we're going to just advance down the street using our little arrow as we did before, just to see what we see. Some typical restaurants. Here we come upon a motel. I guess we could go in there and see if perhaps there's an Indian proprietor who could help us get in contact with the local Hindi-speaking population. There's a used car lot of the type that might be catering to immigrants needing transportation. Up on the right we have some sort of little strip mall. Let's see what we can learn here. What is this place? Let's zoom in on that. There's an Asian grill of some type. Maybe a good place to help us get into contact with speakers of, who knows, Chinese, perhaps Vietnamese, Korean. So we'll continue down the street a little bit more. Here we come upon another restaurant. Zooming in, the name of it is Thai Orchid. A year or so ago, I was with my family in a Thai restaurant, and we got to talking with the waiter, and as it came to pass, she was the member of a local church of some type that had a weekend school in Thai, so that all the local Thai immigrants could help preserve their heritage language. And of course, she invited us to come to bring our children, but we were already pretty flush with other languages, so we declined. But had we not had that happen in our lives already, I suppose we could have looked very seriously about teaching our children Thai through that particular resource, all just from walking into a restaurant. So let me scroll out. Let me see if I can get rid of these pictures in our way a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Now we'll just keep walking down the street and see what we can find. And then when we get to Everhart Road, we'll turn. Oh, look, there's another Chinese restaurant. Ditto on that. Maybe that could be another resource for us. Coming up on an intersection, it looks like I see stoplights. I'm hoping that's Everhart Road. Here we are in the intersection. Yes, Everhart Road. Google has marked it right here for us. So let's take a right turn and start heading down Everhart Road and see if we can find that Middle Eastern market. Here's another strip mall. Maybe we can check that out a little bit. There's another nail spa. And next to the nail spa looks like a prepaid phone shop. Next to that, another tax preparation services. Let's see if we can find out about Lady Nails. See if we can find a Yelp review or a Google review on that place. So So we'll come over to our search engine again. Whoops, let's build corpus. Let's try again. There we go. Lady nails, lady nails. Here's a Yelp. Looks like it gets 2.5 stars from Yelp, and there are 4 Google reviews of the place that we could check out. Looks like some people like it, some people don't, but it's getting a fairly significant number of reviews, which means most likely that it's a legitimate business, and we would feel comfortable in going there if we were looking to find some Vietnamese speakers. So let's go back to our street level map where we were and keep marching down the street. Another look at this little shopping center here. And there's another check cashing center of the type we've discussed in the book, where paychecks are being cashed, bills are being paid automatically, and lots of money is being remitted to countries all across the world, most likely. Which countries? Who knows? Mexico, Vietnam, China, South America, Korea. Impossible to know, but maybe one of the tellers in there could fill us in and give us a little bit more information. So let's keep going and let's find our market. Let's see what we have over here. Looks like an apartment complex. Oh, here we go. Looks like off to the right I see Middle East. Let's go down a little bit further. Yeah, there we go. Let's zoom in on that. There's our Middle East market in Delhi. Looks an awful lot like a convenience store, but who knows? We would have to go in there and find out who owns it, which languages they speak, which ethnic enclaves they're connected to. Most likely you can feel pretty certain that they're connected to some of them, and they're probably selling some delicacies from countries where there is a local immigrant population in this particular neighborhood. If we wanted to now, we could come down to the lower left, we could go back to the map, and we could go see if we could find that Saigon restaurant that we found earlier and just have a look around there. But I think by now you get the basic idea. And I hope you understand that we've just walked through and checked out some very ordinary, even perhaps boring places, and we've found all kinds of language learning possibilities where we might go for resources if we wanted our child to learn any one of a number of languages, all in a very normal, average, mid-sized city that is in many ways very typical. Anyway, I hope this helps, and I wish you happy searching.